Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Love Storyteller Tarot. My name is Jeanette and this is going to be the new moon reading in Virgo, 30th of August 2019. Wow, love and spirituality reading. They go hand in hand really. Right, this is the second attempt. I was just about to do the well, I did. I was already 10-15 minutes into the flipping reading, and the people turned up to do all the landscaping and everything. Not that they did that properly, but anyway, there you go. There's the Virgo energy already. It's about perfectionism. But you know, you pay for a flipping service, and they was here for 10 minutes. They didn't do what I think is what they need to do. But there you go. I do have Virgo rising, so the perfectionist is very strong in me sometimes. So maybe that's what you've got to be looking out for in your love life this new moon. And remember, the new moons are all about planting new seeds, doing something different. But with this one, because it's in Virgo, which represents the hermit, it's about reflecting. So like going within, taking some time out, you know, even if it's just for a cup of tea or something, and just sit and be with yourself and reflect. I mean, it can go to like, because it very much comes under the retreat, and if you're, you know, you're blessed enough to have time to do that, whether that's just like a day spa or, you know, one of these full-blown retreats, then maybe it's saying around this time to gain your clarity, to gain your vision, because the hermit's all about vision and gaining clarity, because it's very much the wisdom card, like old souls, comes under old souls. So maybe around this time, for this new moon, that would be a good time to do that for yourself. And then maybe because it's about meditation, isn't it? But it doesn't have to be you sit on a thingy and cross your legs and all the omen and whatever. It doesn't have to be the traditional meditation. You know, it can be a walk in the park or somewhere in nature, and just a time of stillness, because it's all about stillness, because that's where we receive our messages. Because I for one certainly know that, you know, but I did not meditate on that eclipse in Capricorn. I did not meditate. I was on holiday and I didn't meditate. But I think what it was that because I went on holiday, literally I relaxed down so much, because I knew there's things at home, there's nothing I could do about it, because I was, you know, miles and miles away. So you just think, well, surrender to the situation and let go, you know. And I think then you're receptive to receiving the information, to receiving the signs, or inspiration, whatever it is for you. And you know, and so I was open, because I was just so relaxed. It was like, oh, wonderful. And then hence why this dream was very vivid and everything, and I saw it clearly. So that's what the hermit's about. You know, it's number 9 in the tarot cards, which is 9 is about completing something, completing a lesson, or learning something, you know. And that's what 9 is. It's like the fatness of the top, which you can see it as the spiritual head, and you've learned something. You don't need to keep going back down that path. But going back to the other reading, for what I can remember, it was the Queen of Wands. And you know, like, but she was in the future, and she's like the visionary, she's the career woman, the business woman. But you can, you know, you can still, same-sex couples, you can still be whoever dominates the male and the female energy. So it can show up as the masculine still. but yeah, it's the sort of go-getter, ambitious person. Yeah, ambition, the entrepreneur, you know. So that seems to be the archetype. If I went into other cycles that I was tracking, you know, and throughout my readings, I know here on YouTube, it's always been about partnership and collaboration and entrepreneurship and doing your own businesses, and because you know, where these big planets are aligning, taking us into 2020, and listening to certain people, and what goes on behind the scenes, you know. I'm not saying every 9 to 5 job, because that's ridiculous, because you know those jobs are very important. Those people that, you know, are nurses and doctors and dentists and, you know, all that sort of thing, and vets. We need all those wonderful people in our lives. So it's not about that, but it's about, you know, tapping into your inner self and in your inner skills as to how you can, you know, financially support yourself. So that will, you know, these next 6 months, like I said, from those solar and lunar eclipse, that's all about the foundation. Hence why, you know, I'm getting my book published, because the circumstances came up for that to happen, even though that's a bit scary, because I was like being very vulnerable. But you know, you just, and I did wonder with the Queen of Wands here and the road and the bird, because it's like saying you might have taken a wrong turn in. So I did wonder there, and maybe for some of you that might be the case around that full moon in Aquarius, on the 15th, because this will be going out roughly the same day or next morning. But we did have the Clover card there, so it's like, you know, even if you have, you know, because sometimes we do go on a diversion, and it's really hard to know, but you know, intuition isn't about protecting yourself against her. Life is life, in relationships, in all areas of your life. You know, life is life. There's pain, there's hurt, and yes, there are things that we can, you know, like Cupid's arrow is, I like what I've read is something like it can be poisonous, because there was jealousy around that. I think he married Psyche, and it was to do with Aphrodite or something, but don't quote me on it, and the jealous mother thing, but I don't know. So you know, which is saying like, love is blind, or Cupid is blind. He just sort of shoots that arrow, and yeah, so that arrow will go somewhere. That arrow will land somewhere, because it's your soul contract, it's your fate, it's your dance partners that you've agreed to meet, either for you to help them learn to grow, because it's not always about you. You know, we could get a bit narcissistic sometimes and think, oh, you know, make it about us, yourself. But sometimes you're there to help somebody else evolve. And yes, as much as it is painful for you, you know, it can work both ways. But you know, Cupid's arrow is shoots that arrow, and he's blind in that sense, because they say love is blind, because you need to learn discernment. You need to learn these lessons. So, and that's, you know, the Fool's journey, and then it gets to the Hermit, which is this Virgo energy, is a more like, you've gained knowledge, because it's old souls, so you've gained knowledge, you've learnt, you've gone through those other archetypes, so you know, you've learnt to go within and not just jump on something, because it's blind because you need to discern for yourself. That's what a lesson is. You discern for yourself what is right for you. even if others are screaming at you. But you know, that's what my book's all about, is helping you to read the clues and signs. Not that it will, you know, like, really, that was my greatest, one person was my greatest teacher. So you know, you don't regret it once you've worked through those lessons and the pain. But yeah, so this Virgo archetype, what else did I want to say? About anything else? No, I think yeah, like I was saying, that Clover card was there, which is like you are being protected in a way. So even if you do go on a diversion, you know, sometimes the soul wants to complete something, to, you know, experience. The soul wants experience, and that's why I've always said, you know, try not to label something. So yeah, that Cupid's arrow might hit somebody, and you might meet somebody, and but if you label it too quickly, then I think that's when it gets into the pain barrier. You have to explore it. But Virgo is all about analytical, you know, it's the analytical, but it is the to be of service archetype energy, and obviously the shadow side is servitude, where you're, you know, you're not being true to yourself, and no matter what, service comes into play, because that's what we're here for, to be of service to each other in some shape or form. You are to a relationship, they are to you, but it's certainly not to be in servitude to someone or something. So but let's take a look, and I'd say maybe one word is like very much about the perfectionism, like I said, but it's very pragmatic, down to earth. So got to be looking at that around this new moon. So we've got the Seven of Swords. Hang on a minute, let me get my glasses. Let's tune into this. You know, this card used to come out quite a bit, but I can't say that I've seen it for a while. At one time, even in the personal readings I were doing, you know, this card was always coming up around that time. But this can be, it depends how you perceive something. You know, and like I say, these are general readings, and never make a major decision based on a general reading. You know, they're there to tap into your own intuition, to trigger your own intuition, for you then to follow your intuition, because it's about self-empowerment. And that hermit, that's why it's about going within, because it's about self-development. You've got to get your answers from within, not so much without. So why was I telling you about that dream? That just popped into my head. Oh, I did get in a song in my head, because I saw something about star-crossed lovers or something, and then now that's reminding me of I don't know what that's about, but the film I went to see last night was, I won't give you a spoiler in case you know you want to see it, but I think it was called The Sun is a Star Also. It was about a girl in her path in astronomy, and another guy who was a poet, and you know, very philosophical, and you know, was saying, like, from a practical point of view, which is the Virgo side, he had this test thing that he's saying, I could get you to fall in love with me within 24 hours. I said, I don't have 24 hours. And he said, okay, give me an hour. So, and then it plays out. And if you believe, there's one thing I do believe in, is synchronicity. That's one thing I do believe in. I don't know about anything else, but synchronicity I do believe in, whether it's fate or destiny. But and then the film goes on to show you, and that's what I love, is the synchronistic events, that, you know, that linked, joins the dots, throughout this film. So I would suggest to watch it. It was really, really good. I was like, you know, it went so quick because I was so absorbed in it. And it triggered my own intuition and everything. So, why was I saying that? There was another, I had another dream about a certain person on Monday. I had meditated then. And then I always see it through number plates. So I'm sure, you know, it's, you do as well, but it's number plates or T-shirts or whatever. And then I saw the number plate with this person's name, you know, the initials of this person's name, and flicked it away like a fly, like I do. And my sister and I was going for our long walk, heading there in the car. And then, you know, then there you go, come to a crossroads again, this place, and there was the person on the right, as I was saying to my sister about heart radio, which obviously is to do with the heart. And there you go, this person is there, which I see quite often. But, you know, you just have to discern for yourself what it's about, is all I'm saying. Don't jump the gun, so to speak. But yeah, so the Seven of Swords is entering into the picture. So either it's playing out because the past can be literally an hour ago, a few minutes ago, a lifetime ago, or past lifetimes. So it will vary. You know, you're the only one that knows everything that goes on in your life, because that's what used to annoy me was like people would tell me parts of their story. I'm not talking about clients or anything like that, but you know, friends and things like that. They would tell me parts of their story, only what they wanted me to hear. And then I said, well, I'd have given a different advice based on all of the information, because you can only give advice based on, you know, the information that's being given to you. But anyway, it works out the way it works out. And that's what this card can be like, really. It can be somebody doing that, only telling part of the story, and then they think they're clever because they're either on purpose trying to manipulate you or trying to deceive you, and they're playing a game, and then they go away with a smile on their face because they think, oh, how gullible are they? You know, just pull the wool over their eyes, and literally, and yet that person's intuition, whether, you know, it's someone doing it to you or you doing it to them, that person's intuition is like screaming at them, take note, because it's the sword, so it's the intellect. So, but it also can mean, in a positive way, you've got to get clever about something. You know, you've got to wisen up. You've got to be what's the word? Streetwise, and get clever and find solutions, because it's, you know, the swords are the mental energy, so it's the thought process, and maybe going into the Virgo archetype of retreat, withdraw, meditate, then you might get that. But you know, you've got the two swords behind, which is that being torn between the heart and the head. You know, logic and reason and feeling, and you know what the heart wants, but it can play with you or against you. It just depends. You know yourself best, so it just depends. You know, I think because the Virgo is about being analytical, so it can be that you're too analytical. I think sometimes I'm too analytical and I think about things too much. Like just for example with this agreement, and it's so legal and liable, and I'm like, oh God, that freezes me, and I'm like, I want to know everything. I need to know the details, because Virgo is all about details, and I want to know the detail. Even though we're out of the Mercury retrograde now, I still want to know the details. I still want to know where I stand. But sometimes you've just got to go with the flow, and I know that I can block the flow, and I'm sure other people do as well, by bringing in too much thinking process, because the flow is not about thought. And then so that's that too, where the blindfold is on, and it's like torn between two things. That's why I'm going back to the beginning, and that was the song I heard, torn between two lovers, feeling like a fool. I don't know the rest of the words, the lyrics, so maybe look that up, but I don't know which way around that would be. But that's the song that I was hearing, torn between two lovers. And and then this is somebody thinking, oh, I've been clever, they haven't, but then the other one needs to become streetwise and be clever, if that makes sense, because then you've got, but he is holding the one sword in his left hand, which is about receiving the truth. So either way, one way or the other, you'll receive the truth about this situation, because the four swords are separate here, in a sense that he's separated them, because the four is again that being led out on the tomb, so that hermit archetype of taking time out, rest, and to gather and get the information that you need, that you require, which leads you to the Temperance card, which is all about alchemy. It's about am I going to say transformation? I don't think transformation is the right word, because it's blending. You're having to alchemize. So you're having to transform one thing into, or blend one thing into another, because this is like two elements to. But it's very much a spiritual card. It's the goddess Iris, I believe. But yeah, it's very much a spiritual card. So it comes under diplomacy, But again, because you're going to have to be clever about something, it's like she's dipping her foot. She's got one foot, or not all of it, but one foot in the water, and then the other foot on the earth. So, which symbolises the element of water and earth, which is a good match. So because they are of the earth, but this goddess has got the biggest wings ever, and they're made of feathers, but feathers are as light as a feather, but there's that promise there, there's that rainbow there. It is the blending of the sunlight and the water that makes the rainbow, and the colour of the rainbows, which is about creating win-win situations, being diplomatic, moderation. This card is very much about moderation, moderating your behaviour, moderating addictions, that sort of thing. So and love can be an addiction, but because that's spiritual growth, which comes under the Hermit card, the Virgo, analysing, which leads to the Ace of Cups, which is all about new beginnings, and this is a new moon. So by doing this, so maybe moderating one's behaviour, brings you to a new beginning in love, and creates a balance, because this is all about balance. But this card is a bit like transforming your fate, the one silver into gold, your destiny, the goblets. But you have to go through that process. And for some of you, like I said, you need to be clever about that and finding solutions because of the swords, to get to this place where you can be open, because this card is the Ace of Cups is very much about being open to love. That person or your potential partner isn't actually there because it's not the Two of Cups, but the energy's there. You know, the door's opening or is open, or at least the window, and things are bubbling under the surface, and you can feel anticipation, excitement. It's all the good feelings in the Ace of Cups. So, you know, that new beginning, that new feeling, because that's what it is. It's a new feeling. It's that falling in love stage, but not actually having the person there. Can you see those cards? Yes. But in the past, you see, we've got 2 sevens here. In the past, you've got the 7 of Cups underneath this 7 of Swords, which is, like I said, needing to be clever. And to me, he does look like the Hermit, the wizard, you know. He really does, because he's got a wizard's hat, and he's got this, the crescent of the moon and everything. But to me, he puts his hand out as a warning. And next to the 7 of Swords, I'd definitely say that. Now, like I said, this can be something that you've already gone through, and then, you know, you have found balance because you've gone through that. But for others, it could be that these are the energies that are coming in to teach a certain lesson. But this is about, it's like, think about it. Remember the Hermit, about going within. Think about it, because yeah, maybe there's going to be around this Virgo time, which is isn't it? Is it the 20? Don't quote me on it. It's the 22nd of August. Is it something usually around that time? Isn't it? That it goes from Leo to Virgo, and then through to September, to the 23rd of September or whatever. So maybe around that time, or definitely until you get to the other new moon, you know, there's going to be options to do with your love life, and or it could be emotional options, because remember the Ace of Cups is there, which is the new beginning. So you might not have met this person yet, or you might not have seen them, but maybe remember the options that were there before, or remember what you chose before, that looked like a sweet little bunny rabbit but ended up being, you know, oh, cat, I beg your pardon, sweet little cat. That's my glasses for you. You know, and thinking, okay, I'll go for the rainbow this time, because there's the rainbow. Okay, I'll go for the rainbow this time, and let's see what that brings us. But you've got to bring the wisdom of the Hermit, the wisdom of, you know, knowledge that you've already learned to create this balance, because this is very much under the fire sign of Sagittarius. So it could be connected to a Sagittarian, you know, sun, moon or rising. So it could be, if you're a Sag, you know, it could be that this is about you, or it could be about the other person. Hence the rainbow. But there is a promise. The promise is of a new love. But, you know, do you want Cupid firing that arrow, or do you want to be choosing more wisely where you're going to go? Because it is a warning. There is options. There's plenty of options, or there is going to be, or there was in the past, and maybe you didn't see them because you're too focused on one particular person, in, you know, the one, which some people can get very locked into that they're only being the one. There's always the one for the moment, or for the lesson, or for the, that particular dance. And yeah, if you're lucky enough, that person's with you. If you're young, and I think it is more rare that somebody finds, a true love very young, in a sense that they stay with them for the rest of their lives. But who knows that, it's all down to contracts. Every situation is totally different, and it's not black and white. You can't judge that, But yeah, it's saying there are options. Be wise about them. Moderate your behaviour, or watch other people. But there we go. The Four of Swords is right at the heart of the matter, which I was mentioning here, that he's carrying in this like bag thing, which is confirming that you've either got to give because it's the Virgo energy, it's either you've got to give your mind a rest, because it can be all mental with the swords, because Virgo is earth. You've got to be grounded, you've got to be practical. You can't be in your head about these, because this is like, these are in the sky, which is symbolic to, are they real? Different between fantasy, illusion, and reality and clarity. And the Hermit brings you to clarity. It brings you to wisdom and clarity, which is the Temperance card. But yeah, and his hat's in the head, in the clouds. So don't let your head be in the clouds via the thought process. You've got to be grounded. You've got to be earthy with this Virgo energy. You've got to be practical, pragmatic, not your head in the clouds. And so sometimes you've got to check. You've got to, if you're dating, you've got to see if you're on the same page. If somebody's on the same page as you, don't give your power away. As in, are you on the same page with someone else? No. Is that person on the same page as you? Always keep the focus on you, your values, your morals, your standards, and do they match? Don't try and make it fit in. But this would suggest around this time to go through this alchemical process of transforming your fate into destiny. In that sense, you need to do the Four of Swords. You need to withdraw. You need to reflect on the Three of Swords, the heartbreak that's been. But you do have the Sword of Truth, and on the others, he's literally led on the Sword of Truth. You do have the truth within you, and that's the Hermit energy. And again, it would be a time to rest, a time to relax. Even if you can't physically do that, then maybe it's to do it in your mind. Oh, she has come up again, and she's come up again in the future, but she was here in the last reading, and now she's moved to here. But there she is, she's upright. This lady's warm, because she's fire. She's warm, she's feisty, she's a go-getter, ambitious, driven, but there's very self-assured, very self-assured. And I don't know if self-confidence, but it's like a confidence within, not without, because she knows that she needs to have she'd want her independence, My daughter comes under the fire, and 10.5 months old, like wanting to walk, and definitely by 11 months old, definitely walking. It's such the fire energy is such independence, not relying on anyone sort of thing, energy. But yeah, so she's showing herself again. So maybe go back and look at the, you know, because their stories unfolding. It's going quickly, isn't it? But there she is. So either she needs to do this and put her mind at rest. Put her mind at rest about the choices that she's made in the past is not going to be repeated. Because there's the Ace of Cups. So there's new love for her. Because the Knight of Pentacles is very industrious. It's like, it's the earth element, isn't it? It's, you know, it is that Virgo earth energy, and but also Capricorn and Taurus, and you've got the stag, I think, in the background there. But he is moving. It looks as though he stood still, but it's more at a slower pace. It's more, you know, a pragmatic, practical pace. And these characters can come across a bit boring in that sense because, you know, it's mundane. But you have to be mundane to get somewhere for your choices, your emotional choices. You know, I think that's what it's saying, whether that's in your work, or whether that's, you know, a character to do with love. But yeah, very steadfast, very reliable, very reliable. But they would show their love in a practical way. So either it could be, because those are the two sevens, so they match there. So either it could be, this is the type of person you normally go for, and maybe choose differently. It depends what your elements are. I'm doing a course at the moment, you know, to do with all of that. So it depends what your element is and whether they match, because like I said, the earth and the water, they match. You can blend those together. But if you had like the fire, then it's a different story that you're dealing with. And do you want it easy in that sense, or do you want to still keep choosing maybe people that you're not compatible with? And that maybe you need to look at that, because you got the 4 there, and then you get the 5. The 5 of Swords is next. If you don't rest, or if she doesn't rest, either it's somebody needing to think about this person, or it's this person. So you know, that's about resting. But if you don't rest, maybe then you'd get to the stage of conflict, and because this card is a bit like feeling a fool, or feeling embarrassed about something, because it will be something to do with the truth, because both of them are holding the truth in the same hand. So it will be something like that, because that's what that can be, you know, to do with this. But that would be, like I said, under an earth sign, if that's an actual person. Oh, we've got the Magician. So we've got 2 major arcanas, the Temperance card, and we've got the Magician. Both very spiritual cards when you think about it, which is all about your skills, your talents, well, definitely hers, to get this emotional new beginning, and whether that's for herself or whether that's, you know, for a partner, wanting a partner. But the Magician upright is definitely, it's all about your personal power. If you had to say one thing, that's what it's about. It's about your personal power, believing in yourself, believing in your skills and talent. You know, what are you putting on the table? What are you bringing to the table? Maybe in a relationship, this is why you've got to be self-assured and know who you are, before you even consider a relationship, because it's what are you bringing to the table. Okay, that's where the practical Virgo comes into it. But also, what are they going to be bringing to the table? You know, what skills, what talents, what are they offering to the relationship? You know, do they have a good character? Are they going to be offering loyalty and trustworthiness and around, you know, the values and everything? But yeah, this is her being very much in her power and trusting herself, you know, and using her skills, her talents, her vision to create something really powerful. And we've got the Karma card, we've got the Judgment card then, which is the energy that's going, you know, unseen energy maybe, as to why this is all playing out. And that is an eclipse actually on there, so it's still that 6-month cycle, and this is the smaller story amongst that, because remember the planets give you messages on, like Mercury, because he's the messenger, isn't he? He gives you the message on behalf of the major planets, and to do, you know, go back and watch those solar and lunar eclipse videos, because that's the cycle you're in, because you know, you've only got to 2020, the end of this year, to lay those foundations and work on those behavior patterns and get to the balance and get it right to move into 2020. And when you think about it, I was thinking about it yesterday, what is 2020? Well, it's like 2020 vision, isn't it? We talk about our eyesights, and that's what the Hermit is about vision and clear sight. So, you know, like your eyes when you go for a test and they say, well, it's perfect, you've got 20/20 vision, in 20 vision in your left, and 20 in your right, which would mean that your left is all about your inner looking out, and then no, your left is your inner world, and then your right would be your outer world, and you've got a good balance with that, of what's going on within, and seeing it without, you're not projecting so much, you're seeing clearer vision, and you're being the observer and not projecting so much of your own stuff out. So you'll be the observer, and you'll be discerning. You won't be judging. You're not going to be judging people, because you can feel bad sometimes, because you think, oh, why did I think that about them, or oh, I thought that about them, and I feel bad or something, and I've just judged them. You haven't judged them, you've discerned them. Remember, Cupid is blind, because you need to use discernment in your love life, not rely on, you know, you've got to bring that in, and that's otherwise you create karma for yourself. But this is the Judgment card, this is the calling card. It's like you're being called. Are you gonna answer the call? You've got sort of like to December, you've got Jupiter now coming to its, what do you call it, it's out of retrograde, moving forward. You know, Jupiter expansion and growth and gifts and joy, happiness. It's, you know, all of that. So stop judging yourself, and stop, you know, be discerning about your love lives. And this, you're being called, because the next card is the World card, which is completion. You're being called. Are you going to answer that call? Let's have a look as time is flying by. And let me know if the videos are too long. I can do shorter, well, I can try and do shorter ones. But this is all to do with, this is some sort of healing crisis to do with this pattern, and that would be to do with karma, you know, because this is people, patterns of behavior that has been taught to survive in childhood, but there's a healing crisis to do with that around this situation, either this person or it's you, or someone you know. But yeah, the lily is all about healing, and it can be to do with the profession, depends what the other cards are around. Heart of the matter. Yeah, no, it's healing, because these two cards together is like a hospital, because this is about healing, and the hermit can be seen as a doctor or a healer. So I don't know if that's a message for somebody. You know, if you're a doctor, it'd come under a nurse, or one of the, you know, like a spiritual healer, but on a more practical level, because this is very much about a hospital, which would suggest needing to rest, either you or somebody else. Maybe if you're in a relationship and you know you recognize this pattern of behavior. But yeah, those two together are very much about a hospital, needing to rest, mental health. This is very much about mental health, excuse me, especially with the Seven of Swords. So that can be coming into play. But you know, at the end of the day, I am not a qualified thingy. You have to go to your own professionals for advice on any health, financial, or anything like that. This is only a general reading. Oh, well, this is, you know, this is like your destiny. The Temperance card is the destiny, and this can be fate also. It depends what other cards are around it, but this is your destiny to transform, to let go of the old. You're not that person anymore. I just watched a program, and it, you know, they took their shoes off to say goodbye to their old selves and then let them go, and took another piece of like a piece of jewellery off that represented their old selves, or a piece of clothing that represented their old selves, and they just, it's like a ritual, and just let go of it and said, you know, that's not who I am anymore. I've learnt my lessons. Karma, the judgment, the core, I've learnt my lessons. I really don't need to be going over that anymore, because fate, this is fate. Both of these cards are occult cards, and but this is like something old, which can be knowledge and wisdom to do with the hermit from the past, to create this new beginning. But yeah, or it can be somebody old for a new beginning. But yeah, but it's saying that the choice that you made was right. The choice that you made was right, because this is about blessings. It's the sun. It's the blessing card. It's optimistic. So be optimistic about your choices, or the choice you made. Like I said earlier, you can't. It was about a lesson that you needed to learn, but she's very much sat on her throne. This is all about security. She's feeling secure, or she will be feeling secure once you've gone through this, because remember, the present is where you have the power. But yeah, this is definitely all about security, but she feels secure in knowing who she is. She doesn't have to keep going through this, but maybe the people around her is, or somebody else is, because that's definitely about grounding and putting roots down, and you know, an anchor is about staying put. But this could be somebody unknown, or like he's a closed book, because some people can be closed books. They don't express who they are, but this card's all about patience, and the Hermit does come under patience. Either you need to be patient because this person takes their time. They won't be forced into a situation. They want to be in charge, but they're somebody very practical, very good with their hands, and like very clever, creative, and comes under like, you know, working the land, or this is like your electricians, your plumbers, your very woodwork crafts, very practical. But yeah, it's to do with finances. So there's somebody doesn't want to, is worried about finances in a sense because of the unknown. But you just got to keep plodding on. You just got to, and that can be a book if you're looking at a book. I know I've said about a book. So, but yeah, this can be money earned through a book. So if there's anybody else out there that may be thinking about doing the same thing, you know, you've got to just keep going on, keep plodding on, and not worry about the finances, which is easier said than done. But the Star card is here, which means it's the outcome card. That there's a wish fulfilled. It's, you know, your wish is going to be answered. Regarding security, but it's going to be through your skills, your talents, whatever they are. You know what they are. If not, get other people to say, well, what do you think I'm good at, you know? Because you've got the affinity sign there, number 8, and it's eternity. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. But yeah, that's about your power. Look to the stars. You know that film last night, The Sun is Also a Star. Look to the star. This is about confidence. It's the solar plexus, and definitely with the Queen of Wands here. So yeah, you've got the fox on the, I think it came up on the other reading, so maybe go back to that one, the Aquarius full moon. Because like I said, you've got to be clever, you've got to be streetwise. You know, you've got to be. And it's not about being nice all the time, because that's that pattern, but there is healing there. And the outcome is good, but it's through using your skills and talents, so you won't let anybody pull the wool over your eyes. Let's go to... Not really sure. Nothing's really speaking to me. Maybe just these cards. Just a bit of clarity on here. In your personal readings, we'd go through them all, most of them, and see what was going on. But this is about you defending yourself, and because, you know, you've got to a point where you're not just going to, because this is like he's defending himself or his reputation, because the Six of Wands is like this person's achieved something, and they're saying, well, you're not going to bring me down, you know, you're not going to bring me down, because this is like, but this is like a shout out, a call, and we got the call with the Karma card, answered the call. So, but this is somebody with enthusiasm, and it's still the Wands again, and you've got he's got the sun around the this comes because it's the messenger. So this message, either somebody needs to give a shout out or call out. Oh, we've got the Judgment card. So we've got his hand up shouting out. We've got the trumpet. Where she's blowing the same hand as it is with the same hand with these two, with the sword of truth. But like I said, and this is on the Karma card, which is the Judgment card. So whatever I said there, because that's about being cunning, being clever, being wise. Don't let ever fool you, you know. It's shape shifting. The fox shape shifts, so it's not seen because it's trying to protect itself, because it's only ever trying to survive. So yeah, this is the calling. Give a shout out, call someone, answer the call with enthusiasm. Whatever that means to you is that message. Let's see what the romance angels want to say. I think we're going to go over a little bit. Let's see what the romance angels would like to say to us on this new moon in Virgo. It is safe for you to love. Open your heart. I suppose the thing is that you've got to open your heart, because if you don't open your heart, then nobody's going to be coming and knocking on that door. Open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. It is safe for you to love. So they're saying it is safe. You know, don't judge. Well, don't judge a book by its cover. Give someone a chance. It is safe to love. Let's just have a look, see what it says, if I can find it in time. This card indicates that you're protecting your heart from hurt because of painful relationship experiences. However, the angels can only bring as much romance as you'll allow inside. Remember, that's what the Ace of Cups is, and that's the path. Maybe you're in a tower, but you need to get out. That's fate. But you're a wiser person now. If you have a shield around your heart, how is love to get in? A closed heart repels the sensitive partner you're trying to attract. Following your inner guidance will protect you and simultaneously allow you to feel loved and loving. Trust your intuitive senses with respect to other people's trustworthiness, and open your heart to those who are kind and gentle. Ask the angels to bring caring individuals, including a romantic partner, into your life, and they'll do so, provided that you listen to and follow their guidance. So that is what I was saying at the beginning. You know, you've got to trust yourself. You're a different person now. You've got to trust yourself. Let's see if they can answer your question. If you have one, pause your video. Think about what it is you want to say, and they will, the best they can, answer your question for those who need it. Oh, I just wanted to jump out. Unlikely. So maybe somebody that you're thinking of, that's unlikely that it will happen the way you think it will happen, I think is what they're saying, because of these cards here. And remember that pattern, you don't want that in your life anymore. So it is safe for you to love, but whatever your question was, it's saying unlikely. In other words, it might not be the way you think it will be. But let's see what the healing angels want to say, as that is about healing there. Intention. So what they're saying then is that you've got to set your intentions. It's a bit like the other one, wasn't it? It's calling in your soulmate. But don't label it, don't attach to it. And you might be surprised, you know, let the universe bring it to you. Put that call out, answer the call. That can be, like we just said in there, defending yourself, and then how can love come in? So you need to put that call out to the angels maybe, and say, you know, but it's about setting your intentions and be clear about that. And once you do that, then and be very open to who that person may be, because it's probably unlikely the one that you think it's going to be, if that makes sense. So you've got to just have a clear mind, but doing a meditation will help you. And they're saying kick up your heels on a practical level. You know, go out, have fun. Don't be so serious. Stop analysing. It might not, you know, it's unlikely. Stop analysing and feel more and get out there. Set your intentions and go out and have some fun. Don't know if we've got time for those ones, so we'll just end with Whisper of Love. And if you don't listen to the whispers, you will get the shouts. So, and your job is to listen to the whispers for the next 6 months. Physical touch. I think we've had this before. So it's saying physical touch is very important, you know. So you need to be getting out there and holding hands, hugs, kisses, massage. You know, physical touch is very important. For some of us, nothing is more important than a tender touch. This might include a pat on the back or giving a hug to someone who needs it. So you receive as well by doing that. And how does the universe have our back to end the reading for this new moon in Virgo? I think, if anything, that's what I miss when I'm not in a relationship, is a nice hug and holding hands. So for this new moon, I love these cards because they do have the moon on. My faith has the power to turn trauma into healing, because that's where the trauma is. Conflict into growth, which is your Temperance card, and fear into love. So that's your affirmation. And like the tree, you know, you want to put those roots down. And, you know, like I said, for some reason, I don't know, I got torn between two lovers. You don't want to be going backwards. You don't need to be learning a lesson. Something's unlikely, or someone's unlikely what you've been thinking of. This is somebody unknown. But it could be from a past or past life, and you know, the book's not open, so the book's not read. So it's about, you know, probably don't wear their heart on their sleeves, but you've got to get to know somebody. So there we go. I do hope those messages help. Please like, share and subscribe. It's your gift back to me. And the link for my website is below. I'm here to be a service, to help you. You know, by booking a reading. So there we go. Hope they help. Until next time, lots of love and namaste.